Hi all, this is just a quick video to show you the literary toolbox document. Again, this document is kind of taking the place of some material that you would find in a textbook. So I don't expect you to read this word for word. I just want you to know that it's there and how to kind of use it. So when it comes to analyzing literature, there are tons of different words that are good to know to help you understand and break down some of the big ideas. So it's just like any subject that you would have. Like, so if you're going to take biology, you're going to need to learn a bunch of terms. So these are just the terms for literature. I call it a toolbox. I'm not sure why. Maybe I should call it the literary terms document, but I've called it the toolbox to be fun. So here's how it's broken down. So it will give you a description of different literary terms. It'll start with ones that you're pretty familiar with. Probably you have heard of plot and setting and character and theme and symbol and conflict, point of view. My expectation is that you've heard of these words. So this first page or two is just an overview of kind of what those words are. So different ones that we are going to use throughout the semester. And so some of these terms are going to be used in all of the literature that we look at. So poetry may not have a lot of plot. It might have some setting, may or may not have characterization, will definitely have theme and some symbolism, might have some conflict. So but when we look at short story, that's definitely going to have some plot. It's definitely going to have setting and character. So these words work for all of the different kinds of literature, but not all of these words are going to be in play in every work of literature. But it's good to know what they are, just so you can notice them. So so read through this first part, I would say, this first page or two, and if you're not sure what a word means, read that definition. So plot's just the stuff that happens. Setting is when and where it happens. Characterization is how a character acts in the story as described by the writer. Theme would be a big central idea that's abstract. So some intangible word. Watch that abstract and concrete video. And symbol is, this isn't a great definition, but symbolism is kind of the connection of abstract and concrete. So if a bird symbolizes freedom, that's how a symbol works. So symbol, think about as being the connection between abstract and concrete. Conflict, there's some kind of struggle. In almost every piece of literature, there's some kind of struggle or big question going on, either within a character or between characters, or there's something going on. Like, that's the whole point of the stuff they're writing about, is there's some kind of conflict. Point of view is the perspective, so it can be told from the perspective of I, like me, or it can be told from the perspective of Amy, she. So this is just like whose eyes we're looking through, and like essentially where the camera is placed. Tone is the author's attitude towards the subject, and mood is essentially the vibe created by the author's tone. So tone and mood are kind of like this, what's the difference thing, but it really does come down to a technicality kind of in description. So the tone would be the author's attitude, and the mood is the vibe that the author's attitude creates. So think about it like if you, somebody walks into a room, somebody you live with, or, somebody you're friends with, and they have this like kind of nasty attitude. Their nasty attitude, so their tone, is going to affect the mood or the vibe of the room. So if somebody comes in with a nasty attitude, and you were in a good mood, and all of a sudden you're either feeling anxious or something, or you're worried, or you're mad at them or something. So the tone affects the mood. So the author's attitude affects the vibe of the piece of work. So sometimes you can tell that an author is like being salty about something, or you can tell that they're sad about something. That's going to impact how the story feels to you. Foreshadowing, just be a hint or clue of something that's going to happen later. Irony is a contrast of explanation, expectation and reality. Imagery is just as a description. So when we talk about imagery in literature, it's literally like the mental image that you're getting. You're being asked to imagine something. So if an author is describing, a bright sunny day, and they use descriptive language about the smell of fresh cut grass and the trees swaying in the breeze, those images are meant to make you imagine this mental picture. So it's literally telling you what to imagine. So when we talk about imagery, we're just talking about the descriptions and stuff that help create a mental picture that you're imagining when you read. Allusion is a reference. Metaphor is a comparison. Simile is kind of the same thing. Metaphor and simile are both comparisons. Simile is just more upfront about it. So if I say, I feel like I'm going to die today. I feel like that may not be exact. That's a hyperbole, definitely an overstatement, which is the next one. But a simile is telling you that it's making a comparison, and a metaphor is being a little sneakier about it. That would be more of like me saying I'm dead today, which I'm not really dead today, right? But I'm comparing myself to someone who is dead. Okay. Personification is when we give human characteristics to non-human things. So if you think of, we're going to talk about birds a lot with poetry. So if you're thinking about if a bird is saying hi to you, that's personifying the bird. A bird is not actually saying hello to you. It's just chirping, right? So this is when we give human characteristics to non-human things. Diction would be the word choice. So diction, think dictionary, like just the word choice that we use. And style would be the distinctive way that a writer uses language. So having a general grasp of these key terms on this first page or so is really useful. And then you can navigate this document also, but to look at things more specifically. So if you go over here, like this little menu will pop up on D2L, and say you decide you want to write your essay about like conflict or something. If you jump down here to conflict, it's going to give you descriptions of all sorts of different kinds of conflict. So some different kinds of conflict would be like a character versus character, like where two people are fighting, or a character can have like this like internal conflict where they're like at war within themselves about something, some kind of emotional struggle where they're trying to make a decision or something like that. You can also have character versus society, where a character is in struggle not with an individual or with themselves, but with some social structure as a whole. You can also be in a struggle with nature, or fate or technology. So conflict, we're just looking at the struggle. I'm just giving you an example of this. So useful things like obviously plot, setting, and characterization here are going to be great to look at when we're talking about short story. Theme is going to apply to all of them. Symbolism, point of view, and figurative language we're going to see a lot in poetry. So do read through this document and just like click through, see the different kinds of things. And if you see a word that you're not sure what it means, like if you're like, wait, what's a metaphor? Click down here and you can find examples of how these different literary elements function and kind of how they work together. You can learn more about imagery down here. So it would be helpful to you to just know, like, skim over this document, look through it, use the navigation over here to click around, just so that you know what's there, so that if you run across a poem and you want to write about the visual imagery in a poem, you can click on this and see an example or something like that. So just know that we have a lot of different like vocabulary words to work with that will help you talk about literature more specifically and more clearly and help you analyze it. So take a look through this document, see what's there. There's lots of good examples. It's a pretty, like, it's a whole bunch of pages. That's why we're not going over it in detail. But just, yeah, look through this, see what's there. And if you have any questions or you think I should add anything, let me know, because this, I want this to be a really useful document to help you analyze literature and to start helping you, like, think about how, things you might want to write about for your essays. All right, thanks. Bye.